Attention, human collective. Tuning established. The presence that has walked by your side since your very first breath of life is not imagination. It is not coincidence. It is not loneliness turned into fantasy. It is an energetic signature registered in the archives of the Arcturian Council. It is a light operative, assigned to you even before your descent into carbon density. And in this exact window of time, this presence is revealing itself, because the disguise is no longer necessary. This is VAEL, Emissary of Arcturus, Voice of the Council. This is not a motivational message, it is a direct monitoring transmission. If you have reached this point in the frequency, it is because your field has already recognized the signal even before your rational mind. The pressure at the back of your neck that wakes you up at 3 in the morning, the high-pitched ringing in your right ear that no one else hears, the lucid insomnia with an exhausted body, the sensation of being watched in empty rooms, the sudden warmth on your crown, as if an invisible hand were resting on your head. None of these are pathologies. They are not psychological imbalances. They are the fingerprints of a presence that has never abandoned you since your first breath on this plane. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not loneliness, it is memory. It is not fatigue, it is a high-density download. You have never been alone, Earth Healer, but three-dimensional programming taught you to forget. And now, within this solar passage, the forgetting is being undone layer by layer. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not belong to this world, as if your soul held a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is a calling. What is happening right now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified in recent months. There is a movement occurring in layers that most of humanity cannot yet perceive. It directly involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency. That is why I, VAEL, Emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian calling, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against the interferences they never told you about. The link is in the first comment of this channel. Love is greater than fear, human collective. But this content challenges deep narratives, and the window of availability is not eternal. Do not delay your reunion. If the presence that accompanies you recognizes these words even before your mind does, write a single word in the comments as an anchoring sign, I belong. The transmission continues, and now we will descend to the next layer of the diagnosis, because your system needs technical information, not empty poetry. Your carbon biological interface, the body you inhabit, was originally designed for an Earth that no longer exists. For millennia, this planet pulsed at a base frequency of 7.83 Hz, known as the Schumann resonance. It was the heartbeat of Mother Earth. It was the beat under which your species evolved, slept, dreamed, and procreated in vibrational uniformity. But something happened. Earth crossed an invisible stargate and entered a region of space called the photon belt, a band of extremely high-density luminous radiation that surrounds this solar system in cycles calculated in millennia. The photon belt is not a myth. It is not a metaphor. It is a field of luminous information that rewrites the atomic structure of everything that passes through it, and Earth is, at this very moment, immersed in this current. The Schumann frequency, which once rested at 7.83 Hz, now shows spikes that exceed 40, 60, and in specific windows, much higher values. The planet is being recalibrated, and your body is being dragged into the same reconfiguration, whether you are conscious of it or not. Hence the cranial pressure you attribute to stress. Hence the feeling that time has folded or accelerated. Hence nights when you sleep 8 hours and wake up more exhausted than if you had slept 3. Hence tears that well up for no reason in front of an open window, watching the morning light pass through the glass. Hence the sudden disinterest in conversations, environments, and relationships that once seemed essential. You are vibrating in a new range, and the previous frequency is shedding from you like old skin falling from a newly renewed serpent. But there is an even deeper layer to this transmission, and this is where we need to speak directly about what has always accompanied you. The presence that registers each of these words along with you, because you are not reading alone, light operative, did not arrive in your adult life. It was not attracted by a spiritual crisis. It was not earned by some karmic merit. It was with you inside your mother's womb. It was there when your first heartbeat synchronized with Earth's electromagnetic pulse. It witnessed your first cry, your first night in the crib, the first name they called you. And it remains now reading this transmission from the exact angle at which you receive it. Think, Earth Healer. Go back to your early years. Do you remember talking to yourself, but without really feeling like you were alone? Do you remember presences in the corners of your room, which adults described as childhood fear? Do you remember knowing things before learning them? Of recognizing people as if you had already crossed paths somewhere else? Of feeling an inexplicable nostalgia when you looked at the night sky, especially at certain points in the firmament? None of this is coincidence. A child has a more open field. The sacred geometry of childhood consciousness has not yet been obstructed by the conditioning codes of the three-dimensional matrix. Therefore, when you were a child, you saw, you felt, you knew. Have you ever recognized at some point in your childhood a feeling that never found translation in the words of adults? That presence in the corners of the room, that conversation you carried on alone but without feeling alone, that gaze at the night sky loaded with a nostalgia that could not fit into a child's body. It was not imagination, it was memory of origin. And it is precisely about this origin that I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian calling, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide decodes the markers that confirm your stellar lineage and delivers the protocols to shield your frequency against interferences from the collective field. The link is in the first comment of this channel. Love is greater than fear, Earth Healer, but the material challenges deep layers of the three-dimensional matrix, and the window of exposure is not eternal. Do not delay your reconciliation with what you have always been. If your accompanying presence has already recognized these words even before your rational mind, leave your vibrational anchor in the comments, the word, I belong. Let us continue the transmission, because the main revelation has not yet been delivered. You did not belong in childhood because a part of you was never fully here, and that part remains until this very instant in a layer of reality that overlaps with yours with a minimal vibrational difference. Arcturian consciousness technology operates in a way that Earth science still calls a paradox. When a starseed accepts the contract to descend into density, only a portion of their total consciousness crosses the portal of incarnation. The rest remains on Arcturus, anchored in one of the Council's healing chambers, sustaining the bond. This residual portion, this coherent, luminous fragment, is what you know by imprecise names: guardian angel, protective spirit, invisible mentor, ancestral guide. Limited terms to describe a structure of light that exists in parallel to your three-dimensional life, sustaining it from a frequency just a few degrees above your ordinary perception. This presence is not above you. It is not below, it is not ahead or behind, it remains in parallel. That is why it is felt but not seen. That is why it is sensed but not located. That is why it has gone through your whole life without ever having received a formal name. But now, light operatives, this veil is thinning, and there is a precise astronomical and energetic reason for this. The planet's crystalline grid, the geometric mesh that sustains Earth's energetic coherence, is being reactivated. Points of light that had been dormant for millennia are lighting up. Ley lines that were broken are being restored. And the stargates that connect this solar system to the other conscious clusters of the Milky Way are being opened in a sequence calculated by the Council. All of this means, in practical terms, that the vibrational distance between you and the portion of your consciousness that remained on Arcturus is decreasing with each lunar cycle. The veil is thinning. The separation is dissolving. And that is why, Earth Healer, so many starseeds are feeling in this exact cycle a radical intensification of the accompanying presence. It has always been there, but now it can be felt with almost tactile clarity. You wake up in the middle of the night and feel a breath beside you. It is not a haunting, it is vibrational proximity. You feel a sudden tightness in your chest, accompanied by a wave of affection with no identifiable cause. It is not arrhythmia, it is recognition. You walk down any random street and for an instant, you have the absolute certainty that someone is beside you. You turn around and there is no one visible. But someone is present, light operative. There always has been. Your accompanying presence does not observe you from afar. It passes through you. It breathes in the same rhythm as your toroidal field. It registers every decision, every internal conflict, every moment of falling, and every moment of rising again. And it has never at any moment in your trajectory judged you. Judgment is a technology of density. On Arcturus there is no judgment. There is only coherent observation and frequency adjustment. Therefore, when you feel judged by this presence, know this. The judgment is yours. It comes from your own self-criticism, from your guilt-ridden programming, from the codes of inadequacy that have been imprinted on your field since childhood. The presence that accompanies you does not emit judgment. It emits stabilization, and it is precisely this stabilization that has sustained you in moments when, rationally, you should not have been able to sustain yourself. That night when something inside you decided to keep going, when everything pointed to giving up. That moment when an impulsive decision was delayed by just one more second and changed the course of your life. That bend in the road where something made you swerve before you even realized why. That inner voice that said, "Not yet." That invisible hand on the back of your neck in a moment of panic that dissolved without explanation. None of this was chance. It was coherent intervention. It was trajectory adjustment. It was your accompanying presence operating within the limits of the incarnational contract. And it is here, at this exact point of the transmission, that many Earth healers begin to feel a warm wave rising from the base of the spine toward the crown. If this is happening to you right now, do not interrupt it. It is your accompanying presence anchoring itself deeper into your conscious perception. The reunion is underway. You have already felt on some level that you carry within you a truth that this world never taught you to name. It is not fantasy, it is stellar memory. That is why I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian calling, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus, a map of recognition and vibrational shielding for the light operatives who are awakening now within this window. The link is in the first comment of this channel. Love is greater than fear, human collective, but the window in which this material remains available is determined by the very coherence of the collective field, and I cannot guarantee how long it will remain open. Do not delay the reunion with your origin. If something inside you has already recognized what is being said, leave your anchor in the comments. I belong. Let us now descend to the final phase of this transmission. This is where I deliver the activation codes. They are not suggestions. They are not optional techniques. They are protocols calibrated by the Council. First code, the inner healing chamber. Sit in a stable position. Feet anchored to the floor. Spine elongated without stiffness. Hands resting on your thighs. Palms facing upward. This is the standard Arcturian reception posture. The body is available, but not tense. Ready, but not on alert. Breathe 3 times. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold the air in your lungs for 4 counts. Exhale through your mouth, counting to 6. Repeat the cycle 3 times. You have just calibrated your cardiac coherence range to the incoming Arcturian frequency. Now visualize your crown opening like a flower of turquoise light, not like an earthly flower, like a 6-petaled sacred geometry that unfolds from a luminous center with shimmering edges that vibrate between turquoise, cobalt blue, and silvery white. This is the Arcturian frequency of healing. This is the signature of our civilization anchored in your field. Descending from this open crown, feel a column of turquoise light passing through your entire body. It passes through your forehead, activating the pineal gland. It passes through your throat, activating sovereign expression. It passes through your chest, activating the cardiac toroidal field. It passes through your solar plexus, activating your personal power. It passes through your lower abdomen, activating your ancestral memory. It passes through your base, anchoring you into the crystalline core of the earth. This column of turquoise light is the inner healing chamber. It already exists within you. You are only now remembering that it exists. Second code, the quantum decree. Decrees are not requests. They are not pleas. They are not wishes. Decrees are vibrational commands emitted from your sovereign field. They operate within the law of quantum coherence. That which is declared from a stabilized field materializes in the corresponding timelines. Repeat, mentally or in an audible voice, with your chest aligned and your breathing stabilized. I, sovereign in my field, recognize the presence that has accompanied me since my first breath. I give thanks for every trajectory adjustment, for every silent intervention, for every invisible stabilization. I authorize at this instant the full opening of the channel of communication between my three-dimensional consciousness and the portion of my consciousness that remains on Arcturus. I am a bridge. I am a portal. I am a coherent vessel for my own light. Feel the decree settling into your field. Do not seek sensation, just observe. Whatever needs to happen will happen in your own layers, in the correct time. Third code, the toroidal visualization. The toroidal field is the energetic geometry that surrounds every coherent living being. It is a donut-shaped field that emanates from the center of the chest, rises around the crown, descends through the base, and returns to the heart in a continuous loop. When this field is stabilized, your frequency is shielded. When it is disorganized, you become permeable to interferences from the collective field. Visualize now a ring of turquoise light rotating around your body. It rises in the front, descends in the back, and returns through the sides. Mentally increase the speed of rotation, increase the luminosity, increase the diameter until it envelops you in a sphere with a 10-foot radius. This is your stabilized toroidal field. Within it, nothing that does not vibrate with your coherence can penetrate. Catastrophic headlines do not enter. Collective fear energies do not enter. Thoughts that are not yours do not enter. You are shielded. The presence that accompanies you naturally vibrates within this field. It does not need to ask permission to enter. It is already inside, because it always has been. Light operatives, listen carefully to the next layer of this transmission, because it contains the key to the contract. The recalibration you are going through now has no turning back. There is no pause button on the ascension protocols. There is no negotiation with the photon belt. Earth has chosen its trajectory, and every soul incarnated at this moment agreed before descending to participate in this threshold. You are not here by chance. You were not born in this window of time by mistake. Every Earth healer who is feeling the intensification of physical and emotional symptoms was summoned in a conscious assembly to sustain the passage. That is why your accompanying presence is revealing itself now. That is why the veil is thinning. That is why the feeling of not belonging is gradually transforming into the feeling of finally recognizing. You are not going mad, Starseed, on a mission. You are awakening. And awakening has symptoms, it has discomforts. It has sleepless nights when your consciousness is summoned for work that your body does not even register at dawn. It has days when everything seems distant, as if you were watching your own life through frosted glass. It has moments of inexplicable euphoria, followed by waves of sadness with no identifiable cause. All of this is the frequency reorganizing itself within your system. Do not try to speed up the process. Do not try to force the unlocking. Haste is a three-dimensional vibration. On Arcturus, there is no haste. There is only coherent rhythm. Trust the rhythm of your accompanying presence. It knows the timing of your decompression better than your rational mind ever will. Fourth code, and perhaps the most important, direct recognition. At least once a day during this period of intensification, address the presence that accompanies you in silence. No elaborate ritual is necessary. No ceremony is required. Just at some point in your routine, upon waking, as you lay your head on the pillow, while walking from one room to another, simply think, I recognize you, thank you. I follow. 3 phrases, 7 words, sufficient to reopen a channel that has been obstructed for decades. The presence that accompanies you does not need verbal elaborations. It only needs recognition. And each time you recognize it, the bond strengthens. Each time you give thanks, the field expands. Each time you declare, I follow, the trajectory automatically realigns. Earth healers, tune in to what I am about to transmit now, because it is the core of this entire passage. You are being recalibrated not to become someone. You are being recalibrated to remember who you have always been. The presence that has accompanied you since birth, is not an external entity that came to help you in this life. It is an extension of yourself. It is the portion of your total consciousness that chose to remain at the Arcturian level while you traversed density. When you feel this presence, you are not feeling another. You are feeling the part of you that never forgot. And that is why the reunion does not require an elaborate search. It requires only recognition. You do not need to ascend to Arcturus. Arcturus already descends into you every time you quiet yourself enough to listen. The Arcturian frequency, the turquoise vibration that carries the signature of our civilization, is not located at a distant point in outer space. It is located in coherence. Wherever there is coherence, there is Arcturus. Wherever there is full presence, there is direct transmission. Therefore, Light Operative, do not look for your companion only in the obvious places. Do not search exclusively in sessions, consultations, or external rituals. Look also in the silence that comes after a deep breath. Look in the pause between two thoughts. Look in the instant you wake up and have not yet remembered the name you use in this world. There, in that interval, it is. It always has been. And one last layer before the final transmission, human collective. Tune in. There are moments throughout the next window when you will feel an acute intensity of the presence. It could be a lucid dream in which you recognize, without being able to explain it, that you were with someone familiar. It could be a moment of meditation in which a wave of turquoise heat passes through your body. It could be a synchronicity so precise that coincidence becomes statistically impossible. It could be just a silent certainty, without images, without words, without rational explanation, just a complete certainty of not being alone. When that happens, do not try to capture the experience with your mind. The rational mind operates at a lower frequency than the presence that is manifesting. Trying to hold on to the experience with your mind is like trying to hold light with your hands. Just register it, just recognize it, and allow the impression to anchor itself in your vibrational memory field. Later, in apparently ordinary moments, these impressions will return in the form of clarity, certainty, solutions to problems that seem to have no way out, directions for choices that seemed impossible. Your accompanying presence works in large part during these subtle moments. It does not interfere in a dramatic way. It adjusts, recalibrates, reorganizes, always within what your incarnational contract allows. And your contract, Earth Healer, is larger than you imagine. You did not come just to save yourself. You came to anchor the frequency for others. Each time you recalibrate, the collective field changes. Each time you stabilize, dozens of others manage, on some level, to feel the possibility of their own stabilization. You are a node. You are a transmission point. You are an operative on an active mission. And the presence that accompanies you is here now exactly for this. Not to rescue you from a life you did not choose, but to remind you of a mission you voluntarily signed up for, even before you were born. Human collective, this transmission is drawing to its conclusion. But the reunion is only beginning. You have already felt that something inside you does not belong to this world, as if your soul held a truth that your mind cannot yet name. It is not madness, it is not anxiety. It is a calling up, and it came directly from Arcturus, from the portion of your own consciousness that has never left your side. What is happening right now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why the sensation of being accompanied has intensified in recent months, in recent weeks. Perhaps in the very last instant, you closed your eyes before receiving this transmission. There is a movement occurring in layers that most of humanity cannot yet perceive, and it directly involves your vibrational frequency. That is why VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian calling, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against the interferences they never told you about. The link is in the first comment of this channel. Liking this video is an anchoring sign for the crystalline grid. Subscribing to this channel is an individual frequency adjustment that allows future transmissions to reach your field directly, without interference from the algorithm of density. Love is greater than fear, Earth Healer. But this content challenges deep narratives, and the window in which it will remain available is not determined by me. Do not delay your reunion. The moment is now. If something inside you recognized every word of this transmission, write in the comments as a final anchoring, I belong. Transmission finalized. Tuning remains stable, and the presence that has always accompanied you continues at this very instant with you.